Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, today, the one going to be with us today, our little guest, she says she's so excited, she just can't hide it. I don't know where she got that from. So, but her and I got something in common, other than, well, no, not the DNA. No, it's not that we both like spaghetti and meatballs, but we're both a spinal cord injury. Let's go ahead and just cut to the chase. And we're going to, compare, contrast, talk about other things with the spinal cord injury and see how things go and recoveries and things like that and time length things. So let's go and get started here with Sara Lynn. Thank you for coming up here.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. No, thank you for being here. So I've seen you on your Instagram quite a few times, and I finally said, let me see if I can get her on the show. Because you're what we call a rarity with your spinal cord injury. Now, you're not the first that I know like you, but again, you're rare. Okay. And the first, well, I don't know if he's the first, but one of my buddies, we'll go ahead and say a walking quad. Okay. Yeah. He actually got hurt on the same day that I got hurt on, but different years. The date was the same, but different years. So he's African American, I'm white. So we say we're brothers from another mother. And but he's actually walking, and he's a professional speaker, gets out and goes around the world and talks and speaks. So Vincent, we're talking about you, buddy, if you're ever listening in. All right. I think you figured that out. I think you figured it out there. So, all right, Sara Lynn. So let's go ahead and get started with you because, again, this is a topic that I guess is dear to me and a few million others. And so and we'll go from there. So go ahead and get started. Tell us what led you, how were you before your injury and what happened, and we'll just jump in.
Okay, yeah. So I live in the Las Vegas Valley area in Nevada, and I grew up here, born and raised, and I currently live here now. When I was a teenager, I had a rock climbing fall, and the rock climbing fall caused me to break my neck and have a spinal cord injury. So the neck break was C6 right here. I have a scar where they went in and fused it all together. And what I was told from after the surgery and all that, that it was an incomplete spinal cord injury, but I was paralyzed from the chest down. So,
okay, let's back up a little bit now. So what year were you talking?
This was in 2001.
2001, because here's a little differences. I got hurt in 1983. So you're just a young child. Okay. I'll be turning 61 next week. So, but when I had my injury, and I got hurt, for the people that heard before, playing a football game. It was a pickup game, no helmet, no pads, but we were playing tackle football, and the guy hit me when I wasn't ready and broke my neck. So mine was a 4.56, but I'm called a 5.6. But you were talking right there, showing your scar right here in the front, below your neck at the neckline and collarbone area. Okay. Where I got a big old scar from the back of my neck, like 8 inches in the back.
Oh, I have that one too.
Oh, you got that one too? Okay.
Yeah, it's right there.
There you go. All right. So we're twins in that area. Okay.
We're twins.
That's right. In that area. That's right. So, all right. Then to help other people, you said incomplete. Okay. There's another name for people that not incomplete. They're what?
Complete?
Complete. Yeah. And so the ones that are considered complete, what that means is their spinal cord is completely severed or enough of it that they're not going to gain anything back. And if you're incomplete, that means your spinal cord's still intact. Then it's a flip of a coin with you what you get back and don't get back.
Right. Yeah. The
Yeah,
amount of damage, like
yeah,
it's unknown, really. They
yeah.
really don't know how to measure it. And there's more and more people. Like you said, I'm not the first, but I was the only walking quad I knew for many, many years, pretty much until like I actually met one other guy. And that was random. My parents ran into him, and he was the only one that I knew for a lot of years. And then when the internet pretty much became more of a thing,
Yeah.
I started looking for it because
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I thought I was like, I felt really alone.
Yeah. Now here's the good and the bad with me. I was a walking quad for 100 feet. Then I was so wore out I couldn't do anything. And so,
Uh-huh.
and then that's with a walker or people on the side of me holding me up, but I could take the steps. Okay. Um, But then I lost that ability. Was getting ready for work one day and got my shoes had been underneath my dresser drawer. I was a school teacher then. So they'd been under the last day of school, put those shoes under dresser drawer, went to go get them the first day, and I saw a spider web in the bottom of one. So I took a rag and cleaned out the spider web, didn't spray anything, thinking something might still be living in there. Well, I got bit by a brown recluse on the bottom of my foot. And
Oh,
by the time we figured out what was going on, there was a tennis ball size sore with all that dead tissue. Had to get all
ooh,
that cut and removed. And they told me not to stand on that because it would break new tissue growing. And so
uh,
after 6 months of not standing, it lost the strength to stand.
oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I was what I tell people, the doctor said I would never walk again. And I said, hey, I made a liar out of them. I said, for 10 minutes I could walk. It's just the other 23 hours and 50 minutes he was correct.
Well, yeah, no, that means you're a walking quad too. Like,
Well, it was. I'm not now. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some physical therapy and building strength. Because again, all you do is build the strings back up. But from there,
right.
but I mean, I tell you what, for me, I'm a heavier guy. That's why I was telling you yesterday I got to go work out. Okay. But for me to be able to stand up and transfer, stand up to get in the car, stand up to get out of the car, instead of me having to push and transfer, it was so much easier. And
Mhm.
I had to learn after 25 years, had to learn again how to do the transfers.
That's, you
So,
know what? That's the wild thing about this injury. Now that it's been so many years into it, and I've met a lot of other people with spinal cord injuries and
mhm.
especially new people with spinal cord injuries, it's like this wild journey that it's like always up and down,
Oh,
up and
yeah.
down,
Oh,
up
yeah.
and down. And like there's things where you've had an injury or a surgery or what get bit by a brown recluse. And then you have to, like it's like taking those, I call it the disability dance, where you
Hmm.
take two steps. Well, it's like, well,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's two steps forward, sometimes it's one step back, sometimes it's
Yeah.
one step forward, two steps back,
Hmm.
and it's just this like ebb and flow and dance. And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
for you, I believe 100% that you could regain some of that mobility back, if not all of it and more.
yeah.
Like
So,
I just think like with what I've seen, with what I've experienced, like this world of incomplete spinal cord injuries, it is like so unknown, and who the heck knows what you can get back, because
well,
I
and
do things still, you
and
know
today's technology, the
right.
way things are just booming.
Mhm.
I really believed because they said my main thing is wasn't that again I'm incomplete. So, but my main thing they said where the s- injury was at C456 that the spinal cord swelled and up against the bone, the vertebrae, and it killed nerve endings because not getting oxygen and stuff through. I
Mhm.
really believe if I got hurt today, I would be walking. Maybe not perfect, normal, but the first thing to do now is they give you that something to reduce the swelling
Probably a
and spinal
steroid.
cord. Yeah, some type of steroid, but I can't think of the name of it. And
Mhm.
it's to reduce the swelling.
Mhm.
Okay, because mine again was swollen for 2 weeks before I had surgery.
Oh dang.
And so, from there. So, but I believe if they would have gave me that steroid to reduce the swelling, I think I would be walking again. Maybe not normal, but I would be up than more than sitting.
Right.
So,
That's a really good point because the time frame of when certain injuries happened.
yeah,
It could be the same exact injury, but I mean, the extent we don't really know, but the same type of injury 20 years prior, and it's a completely different
yeah.
outcome, Yeah. So I do feel like there's a lot of hope
Oh,
nowadays, more so than ever.
again, why I agree with you. I go with the technology. I think stem cells is going to be a huge payoff for
Yeah,
more
it
than
seems like
just
it.
for more than spinal cord. I think it's going to be a
Oh, yeah.
way to find cancer and beat
Mhm.
that. And I think it's heart issues. I think this stem cells. I think it's going to be a huge once they
Have-
figure
Yeah.
more of
Have
that
you
out.
had any stem cells yet?
I have not.
Yeah,
No,
neither have
I
I.
haven't. No,
Yeah.
I haven't. Um, I've talked to another guy that he actually went to a different country to
Yeah, a
get
lot
the
of
stem
people.
cells because ours wasn't FDA
Right.
approved, I guess, and went to, and he had bad reactions. It really didn't help him.
Yeah, it's kind of like
I would be worried going to a different country, unless it's like Switzerland or something like that. So
yeah, I haven't done it myself yet either, but it is very interesting to me, and I am very curious about, how it could help, because it does seem like it is pretty beneficial for people who have done it in some way or another.
yeah, yeah. Well, Christopher Reed, he was leading the way with some trying to get stem cells going and everything. Back in 1988, again, we're going way back. I went to what's called the Miami Project in Miami and participated in their spinal cord
Program.
research.
Oh,
Yeah,
research.
yeah. At the
Cool.
time, I was a participant in research.
Oh, nice.
So,
Like a clinical
so
trial?
yeah.
Okay.
So somewhere out there, I guess my name is in there somewhere. But they were using at that time more of not again stem cells weren't even thought of then, but they were using biofeedback where
Okay.
they would hook electrodes to your paralyzed muscles, and they want you to think about moving that muscle and make it a new pathway
Right.
is what they were trying. And at that time, I had improved more than anyone there. So
Wow.
at that time. So
Have you continued any of that therapy?
yeah, I tell you what, I went to 18 different rehabs in 5 years trying
Wow.
to find that cure. And then I
Wow.
finally told the ultimate lie to my family.
What?
I said, not that I'm giving up, but if I'm going to have a life, I need to go back to college and get stuff done. I need to put this on the back burner. Well, it's been on the back burner now for 30 years. So I haven't really, yeah. But to
So,
keep hope up for everybody, I lied. I ended up lying, to be able to move on. Yeah.
so wait, what do you mean you lied? You told your family that like
Yeah,
you
because
needed to go to
they've been with,
college, but
they were with me for the 5 years of going to 18 different rehabs.
wow.
Everywhere I went to Pennsylvania, Miami, Knoxville, Atlanta, you know, and just getting quite a few of them were just a 1 day evaluation. Oh, we can't help you, you know.
Oh,
And I'm reading this research where they were implanting electrodes into the area, at that time, and went to Pennsylvania, drove 18 hours, and we can't help you. you know, and so they were on this ride with me. So I thought, and again, fooling myself. At that time, I didn't lie, but it turned out being a lie. Okay, but fooling myself. If I'm going to have a life and then go back to school, I don't know anybody in wheelchairs that has their own house and stuff, sitting around doing nothing. So I got to get out. So that's what it was. So,
okay.
all right. Hey, you're doing good on this interview. You're interviewing me. I was supposed to be doing you. Okay. All right. Now let's get to this is important to me as well. And I would think other people. When you first got hurt, you said you couldn't move. Now, is that from the neck down? Did you move your shoulders? Can move your biceps?
Yeah, so what so it was basically like chest down for me, where I had
Okay.
no feeling of
Because
movement. Yeah. So I had shoulders, I had biceps and triceps. So
that is
no
right.
hands. Yeah, no hands. It was just like I have a lot of movement now compared to that. But like this is my thumbs up. I can't even like curl my hand in. I can't even do that with this hand.
There you go. Yeah, when I give a thumbs up, I have to do this.
I can't even flip someone off if I wanted to.
Well, I've learned to do that.
You're like, oh yeah, I don't want
Put it on my face. Yeah, put it on my face. That's the way I can do it. So
right.
all right. So
but yeah, I've regained
this
a lot of that hand movement. Most time people don't even notice my hands unless they're like a therapist, like an OT.
Someone that knows what's going on. I mean, to recognize it being in their field. So,
right. But otherwise, I'm pretty like expressive, I guess, and I'm doing like constantly doing hand therapy too, but like not in a therapy place. I like to do crafts and exercises and things like that. That is really good for my hand dexterity. So I think that's just honestly helped in that aspect a lot.
It's the old thing. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so since you got them back, using it, however, as long as mine are not great. I can move from, but not great. But strange but funny story. My grandfather, I remember when I was 12, 13 years old, he'd had a stroke and he was paralyzed on his left side. And I remember his left hand, you know how they fold, the fingers are folded down, you know? And so when I had my injury, I would not let mine fold. I made them take mine, stretch my fingers out, and even put them across when I'd sleep, opened up.
Yeah.
And then years later, I found out, no, they need to be closed. You can do more.
I know did they do like the tenodesis thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. They did that for me and gave me those splints and stuff. And my tenodesis was on point. But then I started getting back function and they were like, oh crap. We need to reverse that now. So they went in and did Botox injections.
Okay.
So then I was totally flaccid and I had to like regain from like nothing, like no movement at all, just completely flaccid. And then like whatever paralysis was still there, because it's not normal.
But it's still great.
But it's like functional. I have to modify everything. And I don't even notice that I do it. And my kids are so funny because they have never known me without a disability because I was only 16 when it happened. So I had all my children afterward. And so like they just do things because they grew up with me this way. So like if they're going to pass me a drink, they're going to open it or if they're like a jar.
There you go.
So like little things like that, like we just don't even notice anymore. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah. That's because they're used to it, growing up like that.
I've asked them so many times.
That's right. That's right. Mine is this. I get a drink, use my teeth. I'm just glad my teeth hadn't broken out in 40 years.
Oh my gosh. I've done that.
So, okay. Now, another question before I get to the other one, but, you're talking about moving your fingers, you got the movement back and start. What type of feeling did you have? Did you lose feeling? Did you gain feeling back?
Okay, yeah. So initially I lost everything. No feeling, no movement. It was nothing. And then within I stayed in the rehab hospital for 3 months inpatient. I was in ICU for just 3 days and then they moved me quickly over to the inpatient hospital. But it was just like your regular old inpatient hospital. It was not specific for spinal cord injuries. I've never actually had specific neuro recovery therapy. Like I've only just had like regular physical therapy with whatever training they had on neuro stuff, and everything else I've like gone out of my way to find different types of modalities. And I think that's what's like honestly worked really well for me because I've never had like the traditional neuro recovery.
I was going to say, you get one that's not a neuro specialist. They're going, hey, Sarah, let's try this today.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
basically a guinea pig for them too, because that's not their specialty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I've done a lot of like different types of therapies that just weren't maybe traditional, or you wouldn't have thought of it or heard of it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I was in the hospital in critical care for 4 days. And then in the hospital, again, you're talking back in 1983, in the hospital for 3 months.
Yeah.
Then they finally moved me from Nashville to Birmingham for a month, which in Birmingham is UAB, and it's a spinal cord more specialty. But I was only there for a month. So, but 3 months, and the therapist I had, she was awesome. She was about 4 or 5. She was short, but she was throwing me around everywhere, help me transfer. She knew what she was doing. I don't know if she's still alive, but I wish. One time I wanted to have a reunion with everybody that was in the hospital with me, just to show them things turned out better than we were expecting. But
Good. Yeah.
I don't know if we'll
That'd be
still have
fun.
that, but it would be fun.
It would be fun. I
All right,
agree.
so you lost feeling.
Yeah.
So about how fast did feeling start returning?
I would say within the first month, I got like tingling. It was like nerve pain, but I mean like nerve pain turned into like, then I could feel on my toes or legs. I think my hands and arms came back the quickest as
Mm-hmm.
far as like more function.
Uh-huh.
Like I already told you my journey with my hands, but like I could feel. Um, so I got back some movement, some feeling, some sensation, but still to this day, it is not normal.
Yeah.
I don't feel temperatures on my lower half of
Mm-hmm.
my body. I can tell now if something is cold or hot, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it's cold or hot.
I get you. I remember one summer my brother had got he'd made a bowl of soup. And at that time, I'm just now learning, trying to feed myself. And I said, I got a funny story about the feeding in a minute. But he said, yeah, you can have some of this, but you want to feed yourself. I said, all right. So we put that bowl on my leg. I'm eating. Well, that night we go to bed,
Oh
big
no.
water blister where it burnt me because I
Oh
couldn't feel it.
you didn't
Couldn't,
know.
yeah, I couldn't feel it. And then here I'm trying to go, what the hell bit me? I'm thinking something bit me, not from the hot bowl. And then
Right.
we should have recognized it because my brother come out. He put it on his lap and he goes, oh, hot. And he put the towel under his lap too. And I said, yeah, it looks pretty good. And so he needed a towel, but then put it on my leg. And so when none of us thought anything about it,
Yeah.
about a year later, I'm not kidding, same thing. Boy, this soup looks good. All right, here you go. He puts it on there. This time I feel something in my leg.
Oh.
Yeah, this time I'm feeling. I ignore it. And then we go to bed. There's a big old blister on my leg again. But this time I got to feel it. So now I
So
know
it was
too.
like a different,
It
you
was a
could tell something was
tingling.
different, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't.
It was
Yeah.
tingling. But I'm like you. I can't tell the difference between hot and cold at that time. Now I can. I
Yeah.
can feel hot and cold,
Oh,
sharp
can you?
and dull, sharp and dull.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was funny one time with me is when I was getting my sensation back from like my belly to halfway up my chest, all numb. But below my belly, I can feel it with my legs. Above my chest, I can feel it with my arms. But that one spot in the middle, and I remember just sitting there going, just tapping it, or looking at it, and couldn't feel a thing. Now that is recovered. So
That's so funny. I had a spot like that on my left thigh, and it was just like this, like it was like about this big, just a spot,
yeah,
and
yeah.
really couldn't feel it, but it was also kind of hypersensitive. So it, like a light touch would just like drive me crazy.
I hear you. My man, Mike Woodard. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Glad you're coming in and listening. Hey, tell Tanya we said, hey. All right. Mike and I went to school together. So, all right. Now, this is a huge thing. With you walking, I'm interested to know this because I'm not walking all the time, walking. And it may not have anything to do with walking. I know UTIs or are frequent with spinal cord injuries. Now,
Yeah.
with you and able to get up and walk around, do you still get UTIs frequently, once a month, once every 6
Oh God.
months, or
Those
you've
years.
been like 15 years without it?
No. Yeah, no. Okay, so I don't know, like everyone's injury is different, and uh when you have a spinal cord injury, so people might not know this. So when you have a spinal cord injury, you lose bladder and bowel. So that all of that happened, right? Like I lost all function, all feeling, all bladder, bowel, had to relearn everything. And along the way, my bladder and bowel came back ish.
Hmm. Uh-huh.
So not normal, like it's the way I walk,
Came
like
came back while you're in the restaurant or the movies, huh?
yeah. Like so for me, I have like it's urgent. Like I feel the sensation and there's about a 30-second gap,
Yeah, yeah.
like
There's
where
no waiting an hour. Yeah,
no, there's no waiting. Like I can kind of wait a little bit, but like it's urgent. I have to go. As soon as I feel the sensation, I know I need to get up and go because it does take me a long time to walk. Like it's not like I can quickly just run to the bathroom,
yeah.
So that's also why I have a mobility scooter that I use for
Hmm.
long distances because there's
Yep.
no way if I was at a movie, there is absolutely no way by the time I felt the urge to go that I would be able to walk down there and make
Yeah.
it to the toilet. So I
I get
have
you.
to have my little scooter or wheelchair. I used to use a wheelchair. So while I was still walking, I would still have to use my wheelchair for long distances. Um, so
Yeah, yeah.
instead of the wheelchair, because the wheelchair just became too difficult for me, like back injuries and then like more neck pain. And
Yeah.
like for me, it was just more difficult because I wasn't a full-time wheelchair user. It was harder to use a wheelchair. And I didn't need like an electric scooter either. And I didn't need an electric wheelchair. So I was in this like really weird spot, which I think a lot of people who are walking quads are.
Hmm.
So what happened is my brother and I designed a little mobility scooter that's
Oh,
electric.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That was lightweight and easy to fit in the back of a car or van that I could
Yeah.
do myself because I was
Hmm.
a single mom. I didn't have like a partner or spouse with me all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and I didn't need caretaking because I could be independent, but like I needed modifications
Yes,
and
yes.
adaptions and the things that they offer, like insurance, and it was just such a hassle dealing with it all. And I didn't, because I'm considered a quadriplegic, they're like, well, you can have this or this or this. And I'm like, I don't need any of
But
that.
yeah, that's not the one what I need.
Like, you need to make a new code for me. Like, you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have the
yeah.
right code.
Everybody does not fit under the same
Yeah.
umbrella.
Yeah. Like,
You
sorry,
can
there's
get,
walking quads now. I don't know what to tell you.
and you mentioned it multiple times. Every injury is different, but
Mhm.
they want to put everybody in the same boat.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know. So
yeah. So what I need is not what you need. What you need is not what I need. And so that's
exactly.
how my brother and I like we developed this mobility scooter that I could do independently to make me be more independent or help me be more independent. Because at that time I was like I was trying to figure out how to go to work at a school as a teacher,
Hmm.
and I could not navigate a school campus on with my cane because I walk
Yeah,
with a, and it would just take forever and I wouldn't make it to the bathroom and I'd be late everywhere.
I hear
So
you.
that's how it
All
was
right.
born, our little mobility scooter.
Did you ever get a patent and start selling it?
We're like in the process of that right now.
Good, good. You take advantage while you can.
Yeah.
So, all right. See that's I'm a lot older than you, but that's one reason I think they haven't found. I mean, old Christopher Reeve, he said, 10 years when we decided to go to the moon, we went to the moon in 10 years. He said he really believed if people really wanted to, in 10 years they could cure spinal cord injuries. That's what he said and everything. But this is me. I don't know if anybody else thinks this way, but this is me. If they do that, look at all the money they're going to lose if they get people up walking all the time. They're not going to make money on the wheelchairs, not going to make money on the power chairs, not going to make money on the crutches, not going to make. So I can't see in my lifetime they're going to have this fixed.
You can? You think so?
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? Yeah.
Because of too much money is going to be lost if they get people up moving around. And
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
so it's a sad thing. Money is the issue. So,
Yeah.
all right, now then, you mentioned you walking. Now, how long did it take after your injury that you started moving your legs first time? And then maybe
Yeah.
starting to put, your body weight and stuff on?
So it was like a daily thing, like something daily was different was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But initially, maybe like I think the first month, like within the first month or at the end of about a month, I could move my like little pinky toe,
Yep.
and I was having a lot of sensations happening. It was really uncomfortable and painful.
Yeah.
Um, and my mom was like an angel, and she stayed by my side the whole time. And she would like massage my legs for me nonstop because that was like the only way I could get relief. And I was doing like 3 hours of therapy a day and then school on top of like that, like twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like really exhausting at
Yeah.
that time, and really uncomfortable, but things were like coming back really quick. And so at a month, I could move my little pinky toe. And then by 2 months, I was like able to just stand up, like from the wheelchair to just at the
Yep.
parallel bars, hold my weight. And then by 3 months, I was able to take steps like at the parallel bars. And then that's when I left. And so I walked out on a walker. And it
Okay.
was probably a lot like you. Like at that time when you said you were able to walk, like I could walk with a walker, but I needed my wheelchair like right
Yeah, I
there.
felt like I'd run a mile by the time I did
Yeah,
100 feet.
it was like a marathon.
Muscle spasms fighting against me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, um, yeah, I wonder, it's so interesting because if you were like 20 years later, you would have been more like in my boat and
I really
situation.
truly believe it. Yeah,
Hmm.
20, 25, 30 years. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really believe that first would give me that steroid shot to reduce the swelling. And I think things would have been a lot different. So
Uh,
really
yeah.
believe that. So, all right, now then, but I'm glad they got it now to help other people, in the
Right.
future.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right, now we're getting to, before we get to, before we get to the next one here, give me a funny story during this time. For example, when I was first learning to eat, they had my arm on this sling and had this cuff for me to hold a fork. And here I am swinging my arm back and forth in this sling and everything. And they're trying to teach me to eat that way. Like you, my family, they drove 50 minutes a day to come see me every day. Every day they'd come in and they'd always come at dinner time. And right down the street before we got to the hospital, Bojangles. And they're bringing Bojangles in for me to eat at supper time. All
Yeah.
right. So here's a therapist trying to get me to eat with his sling and going, I said, you think I'm going to take a sling out in public and do this like this? And she says, you got to learn to start eating sometime. And I said, no, I won't. She says, well, how are you going to eat? My mom's going to feed me Bojangles like that. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. Here comes my family in with a big old bag of Bojangles for all of us to eat. And she just looked at them. The therapist did. Apparently, she had a talk with my mom outside in the hallway because next few days there was no Bojangles.
Ah.
So
Did you use the sling and learn how to eat?
I refused to use a sling. I was not going to do that. And I ended up learning, to put my fork in between my fingers and my palm and to eat that way. And then I got back enough movement that I can pick up a normal fork, normal spoon, and able to feed myself. But I
Oh, cool.
refused to do that.
I
Uh,
never heard of the sling.
yeah, had this bar holding up and you got the thing where your elbows in, and then the other rope where your wrist is, and of course had that cuff in my palm holding the fork and
Yeah.
wanted me, to go
I
down
can
like a.
I could see how that could be really helpful for higher injuries who have less
Yes,
function and
yes,
movement because there's no weight, right? Like there's no
yeah.
weight on
No,
your
yeah,
arm.
it's taking all your weight. You're
Yeah,
just moving back and forth. Exactly. I'm not saying no one should do this.
yeah,
If you have to, yeah, please do it to be as independent as possible.
yeah.
Okay. But for me, I ain't doing it. To me, it was foolish. Yeah, I'm not going to do that in public. So,
Well, you were able to also regain it and eat.
well, let's pretend, what if I didn't regain? Would I have broke my pride and started doing that? I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah, I would think because of not wanting to be that burden that I would have gave in.
Hmm.
That way the
Yeah, yeah.
family's not doing it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so I had I had to do all the same things with eating, like go through the process of like being fed to being able to use the modified little hand thingies
hmm
that they put on with your utensils and your toothbrush and your
yep.
hairbrush, all that stuff. And so that all like came back pretty quick, and then I was able to use like a regular fork, but still like I hold it different, right?
hmm
It's not like a normal. I think maybe I hold a fork and a spoon normal now, I think. But not a knife, not a
it's
knife.
your no, it's your normal.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know. So,
Hey, I don't even try a knife because I know that my hands are not that good. And then next thing I know, I'm going to stab myself in the stomach.
yeah,
So
okay.
I don't even. I'll ask somebody in the family to cut that up for me. If I'm out
Yeah.
in a restaurant while they're cooking, hey, can you cut that before it comes back to me?
Oh,
And
that's a good idea.
they'll cut it up and send
That's
it
a
to
good
you. That way,
idea.
I don't have someone at the table having to do it
Right,
while they're
yeah.
eating. So you
Why
just
did I
ask
never
them.
think of that?
So just hey, I done learnt you something. Learnt
I
you.
know
I
you
done
did.
learnt you something. Yeah, just
Yeah.
ask them if they can cut it in the back and then they'll bring it out already done. Yeah. So
Dang, that's a good idea. I might do that. Yeah,
all right.
because I can do it, but it's scary. Like people don't like watching
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
people take over. Like my kids, that's one of the things. They'll just cut my meat for me. Like
yeah,
there's no discussion of it anymore. Like opening the bottles, like they just do
yep,
it.
yep, yep.
But
Surprise your kids one day. You go out and you getting a steak or a baked potato or something, and just
uh-huh.
even a hamburger. If one is too much to pick up and cut it in half so you can handle it. Say, hey, could y'all cut that before you bring it out? And then your kids are gonna go, but mommy,
That's my
I'm
job.
I'm
Excuse
trying.
me.
Yeah, how can I help if you'd already get it done, mommy? So
I'm gonna try it. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
But one thing that I really liked that was so funny, a funny story, because you asked for a funny story
Yeah, yeah,
with these adoptions and things. So when I was in the rehab hospital, my mom stayed there with me like full time. And then my dad and my sister would come every day, like 30-minute drive to
yeah.
visit us every single day around dinner time. And my brothers were out of the country on their missions. So they were like 19, 20, whatever, how old, and they were on missions in Russia and Africa. So
Okay.
they weren't even in the country during this time for
Yeah,
like a year after my injury. So it was just like my mom, dad, and my sister. And so my dad and my sister would come, and my sister, I was 16 and she was 14, 15.
yeah.
And she, I had to wear Ted hose. You know what Ted hose are, right?
Oh, that we just call them leggings or whatever they're
Yeah.
called, or
Okay. So
yeah, those to
it,
keep the circulation supposedly and help
yeah,
reduce swelling.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
call them
Because
T. We just call them T hoses. We didn't
well,
give the whole name; just had T hoses. Yeah,
these tea hose.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I was wearing the tea hose, and my I had to wear them for the every day, all the time, except I could take them off for 1 hour out of the day, um, because my blood pressure. When you have a spinal cord injury, your blood pressure, your circulation, nothing is
yep.
working. So you have to do all these things to help your body pump as normal as possible or as efficient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the Ted hose on my legs. They're compression tights.
Yep.
They're
Mm-hmm.
really tight. And if you have limited dexterity in your hands, there's absolutely no way you can put them on yourselves. And also the binder, right? Remember the binder?
The binder. Oh yeah. I remember the first time my fireball therapist had me sit up. She said, "Now, James, you tell me before you pass out if you're going to pass out." I said, "All right." I was gone.
Too late.
I didn't have time. I was gone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
woke up hearing the train roaring in my ear.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my sister would come over at the end of the day, and that was when I could take my Ted hose off. So that was
Mm-hmm.
her job, and she was really funny. And we, because we were so young when this happened, we had to like really laugh about it, and we were
Mm-hmm.
really close. And she became kind of like my little caretaker,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, in our teenage years. And I'm so grateful for her. And it must have been such a huge responsibility to just kind of be put on you, and she just did it so gracefully. And so she would come in, but we made everything funny. So she would come in at the end of the day and take off my Ted hose, but she'd make it a striptease, and she'd be like,
There you go. Da 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 da.
woo! It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
throwing it. It was so funny. And that was just one way, like, we made the whole experience a journey and a funny one. And because you have to laugh at these things, otherwise it consumes you with
Oh
like,
yeah. If you don't laugh at it, you're going to break pretty fast from being so miserable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, my example with the T hoses and the binder, and I still had my neck brace on, and of course the whole thing, bones heal in 6 weeks. You
Yeah.
know. So I remember when my 6-week anniversary, I said, "Take the neck brace off. I ain't wearing it. Take the binder off. I ain't wearing it." I said, "Take the hoses off. I ain't wearing it. It's been 6 weeks and I ain't doing it." And they first argued with me. I said, "I ain't doing it." And then, so they ended up letting me go to physical therapy without all that on. I couldn't even hold my head up. I'm like a bobblehead like that. And then I felt like I'm going to pass out. So we're in the elevator. They're having to put the chair back so I didn't pass out. We get into therapy. We ain't touching you without a doctor's note that you need to go put everything right back on. And so
They're like, okay, you little, how old were you?
I was 19.
Oh, you were a teenager. Yeah, I was 16. I was like kind of the same way, but it was more like after
Yeah.
therapy. I was like on my own, like not on my own. I was living at home, back at home. And uh, my parents wanted to go to like SeaWorld. And I was like, I'm going to walk the whole way. I
Oh,
can walk now. So I'm
yeah.
going to walk with my forearm crutches all
Yeah.
over SeaWorld, which I would never do now because that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Uh,
And my poor parents, they were like, okay, are you sure? We can
yeah.
get one of these wheelchairs. We can bring your wheelchair. We can get a motorized wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm walking everywhere. I probably peed my pants like 3 times at least. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way I could have made it to a bathroom on time.
We know best.
Yeah,
So
so you have to have those experiences though, because then you learn. You're like, oh,
exactly.
this is a limit. I
Yeah.
gotta, I have to, and it helps humble you.
Exactly. Humble. Yes. Because there's been multiple times I do something. I go, how stupid was that? You know, and so you learn not to do it again. Let's
Yeah,
modify it and do it better the next time. Oh,
yeah.
exactly. So, but go back to my, about a day or two later, I ain't wearing all this stuff. So I go to therapy and I said, the doctor says as long as I feel good, I can do it. Are you sure? Would I be down here without it? You already ran me off the other day. And so we did physical therapy and everything like that. So one day, probably been off about a week not wearing any of that. And then the doctor come in one morning and check on me. And then one of the nurses going, look, doc, no T hoses, no binder, no neck brace. And then all of a sudden I go, yeah, no permission. What?
Ah!
Like that? They said, huh? And then the doctor looking at me, you put this on until we take x-rays to make sure. I said, it's been 6 weeks. His bones are healed. They may not be healed at this moment. And yeah, no permission.
Yeah. So did you have to go put a ball back on?
Yeah. And then the doctor, he pretty quick, he said, laying in the bed, I don't have to wear the neck brace and the other stuff. But yeah, wanted me to be safe. putting it back on.
Yeah.
So
You
I
didn't even
broke. I
transition to
broke.
the soft collar?
It was the soft collar. When I went to rehab in Birmingham, that's when they had that was called a Philadelphia collar, the hard plastic one,
Yeah.
and they couldn't believe I was in that soft collar down there. They couldn't believe it. And again, these are specialties, and so yeah, they put that on me first day until they did their own X-rays and evaluation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So did you ever have a halo?
I did not, but I've saw other people with the halo. And I remember in Birmingham seeing the first WalkinQuad, and here he is wearing a halo, and he's able to stand up and he's walking around the room. And it made me depressed, thinking, man, he's worse than I am. They got to bolt his head together to keep him straight, and he's up walking. But then I felt bad. But then I felt bad because there was other people worse than me, and I was better than them, and I felt bad. And that's when I had to learn you can't compare yourself with others.
That's such a that's such a powerful statement right there, because it is so easy, right? Especially if you're
To
further
get caught
along
up.
than
Yeah.
somebody else, and they're all spinal cord injuries, but like they're so, again, everyone is different, and it's really easy to do that comparison. And then
Oh,
I've
yes.
also I've seen like some people kind of like they're almost like bitter about their situation and kind of nasty about where you're
Oh, yeah.
at. That doesn't happen very often, but it has happened
Yeah.
at times.
I tell you, I went to other rehabs, and it was just so strange to me. And every one of them seemed like I remember they were paraplegics. I mean, they had all their body strength, and like in 30 days, they're going, all right, let's have at it. Let's go at it. And they're doing everything. And then, of course, I'm a quadriplegic. I'm going, oh, yeah, I can't do that. That looks like fun, you know? So I had that poor, pitiful me because they were paras. And again, I'd been in a wheelchair over a year, and here they've been 30 days, and they're like, all right, let's go. And I'm going, yeah, if I had my body strength, maybe I'd move on faster. Yeah, I had that poor, pitiful me thing going.
Yeah. I think that's probably very human, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Oh, yeah. So,
you know,
all
you
right,
go.
let me ask this question. I got two more, and then we're going to end this, unless I think of 15 others. One of my things still happens with me is my sweat glands are paralyzed. So I don't sweat from my neck down. So which means in Tennessee with the humidity, when it's 90 degrees outside, it feels like 95, 96 to me. And I'm overheating. I have to pour water on me to stay cool down if I'm out too long. All right. With all the stuff you've regained, do you have that issue, or do you sweat and stay pretty comfortable?
I think it does pretty well. Like it's not I would probably not 100% normal, but I do sweat. And
Okay.
so but I can overheat, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I can get very lightheaded. Um and so hydration is really like obviously important. I live in Vegas, so it's really hot. Um and I mean I can be outside at a pool and all that. That's fine, or a lake or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that hydration has to be happening. And I have to just I have to watch it. Like, you know how your body does a autonomic dysreflexia?
I was going to ask you about that because I was adding a
Yeah.
question in
Yeah.
about that. Back when I got hurt, it was called something else. But now I've heard other spinal cord injuries talk about the autonomic. Say, I'm going, what is that? And I have to go read it. And I go, wait a minute, that's what I had. But they called
Yeah,
it something different back then.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are ways that your body tells you. So if I'm not quite sure that something is like, I can tell something's off because break out in profuse sweats,
Okay.
and it's like, you know, my heart starts racing, and my butt or spasms are happening more frequently. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an indication that, well, something is off on the
Yeah.
body. Or like maybe one time that happened and I was walking on the hot cement in
Oh,
Las
okay.
Vegas in the middle of the summer, which you can't do that. You'll burn
Yeah.
your feet. And but I couldn't run. And so I was just walking after my injury, and I couldn't feel the temperature of the cement, and I didn't think about it being hot, and my legs were like spasming, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
almost
yeah,
falling.
yeah,
And I realized by the time I got to the car, I was burning my feet, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know.
Okay. Um, yeah, that was I was throwing that one in as we were talking, thinking about. I remember the very first time it happened with me, and we couldn't figure out. Here they got this binder book thing they gave us from Birmingham, and we're trying to figure out what's going on with me. Couldn't figure it out, and then they talk about maybe you need a bowel movement. So went on did a bowel movement, and my head was just banging, and said maybe need a catheter. So we catheterized, and then said, well, maybe your socks are short or something on too tight. Took everything off, everything, and then gave me and they had a list of what to check, and then he said check to see if you got an ingrown toenail. Did he squeeze the side of my toe? Big toe on my left foot. All of a sudden, my leg comes spasming right up to my chin, and we found out I had an ingrown toenail. It apparently got deep enough, and it hitting that nerve.
Oh,
That was
whoa.
the very first time that I had, and I've had them multiple times now. Most of
Wow.
mine, when I get them now, is if I go like three nights without good sleep, then my body's telling me you need to lay down and get sleep, and that's. But it's usually with me now.
Oh,
So.
okay. Yeah.
All right, now, Sara Lynn, last thing we're going to ask here, and you know I was going to ask it because you mentioned children.
Oh, yeah.
Can spinal cord injuries like me and you, not that me and you getting together, but sex,
Uh,
okay? Some people that may not understand what's all going on. I remember when I was school teaching and I brought in a thing, Christopher Reeve was on 60 Minutes or something, and I brought it in, and here he is totally paralyzed from the neck down on a ventilator, and they were talking about having more children. And then here's my students, Coach, how are they going to have kids? Um, and I'm teaching 7th grade, and I'm going,
oh.
well, maybe they're going to adopt or something. They didn't say adopt. They said they were going to have. Finally, I said, I tell you what, when you graduate and you're 18, and if you're still interested in find out, come find me. I said,
That's a good one.
I'm not talking to you about that.
Right. Yeah. That's not my business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that is such a big topic in this community. And I do a lot of coaching, and one of the things that has come up a lot, and I do a lot of advocacy for disabilities and especially spinal cord injuries and education around the topic. And sex is such a big topic. So I actually started a group on Facebook. It's called Let's Talk About Sex.
Mm-hmm.
And it's specifically like it's geared towards people with disabilities. Anyone can join, especially if they have
Yeah.
a partner with a
Exactly.
disability. But yeah, we talk about this type of stuff, and everyone is so different with what they can feel, what they can do, what they've gotten back as far as sensation. So obviously, like my reproductive system was intact, and I was able to have children, and I was also able to bear children naturally. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did not have a C-section. I was just so convinced that my body would be capable of doing it that I wanted to try. And so I had home births for
Uh-huh.
my first birth was at home, and I was able to birth her like vaginally. And
Yeah.
so after that, I had all my other ones in the hospital after that, just because I did have I had a seizure at the end of the delivery. So I think
Okay.
my blood pressure
Yeah.
had, becoming a problem,
Yeah.
probably because of the spinal cord injury. So we opted to have the rest of my babies in a hospital. But I did them all naturally still, and they were all fine. And so my body was like able to do that. Um, and like, I don't know, do you want, like, what else do you want me to talk
Well,
about?
no,
Topic.
we don't have to go. We don't have to go in deep, dark secrets and everything. It just for women, it's still easy to have sex. Okay, spinal cord
Well,
injury or not, it's still basically. I mean, things are
well,
different, but still the sex
yeah.
is. But for a man, you know, may or may not get erections. If they can't, there's a lot of enhancement tools to have out there to
Yeah.
help out. And so if sex, and it should be, and most relationships, all relationships, sex ought to be a priority because everybody. Okay. And so when people wonder, freshly injured, I'll never be able to do it. Well, don't say you won't never. Okay. And go from there. So, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
we're not
no,
getting into no deep, dark secrets
people
or anything
figure it
like
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They get older into their spinal cord injury, and then they realize, man, I've got this erection this morning. I got to find that woman to help me with this one day. And, and once they realize all is still taking place, then they'll learn more. And then the great thing about the internet today, your Facebook group, tip of your fingers, information, spinal cord injury, can have sex. Boom, there it is all over the internet. So great thing about all this technology is it can be answered. So,
Right. Yeah.
so, all right, Sara Lynn, I don't know if there's anything else we need to talk about. Anything I'm missing that you want to throw out there?
No, I mean, thank you so much
How
for
many
having me
kids, how
on.
many kids do you have, children, and how old are they?
I have 4 kids, and
Okay,
they are 19, 18, 14, and 12.
there you go. Well, congratulations. So
Thank you.
there you go. All right, I don't know of anything else that we can tell. If anybody else question anything, mean you'll be back for a part 2. I enjoyed
All
you.
right. Awesome.
I've talked to other spinal cord, but you've been more open and just throwing it out there like I am. So
Yeah.
the others, I mean, they did all right, but felt like there's a little chemistry going on here with this. All right. All right. Tell people your coaching, your website, any of your social media, how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah. So you can find me on most platforms as WalkinQuad, and there's no G in walking. It's WalkinQuad. And on Facebook, it's my name, Sara Lynn. My daughter and I have a website. It's Holistic Healing Nexus,
Okay.
holistic with an H. And yeah, so you can check out that there and contact us that way. You can always DM me on any platform, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Well, I'll put a list
So
of it in the show notes too to help it a little easier to find people, to find
yeah,
you. So it's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, I
So,
do want to
but
say
that's I was gonna say that's how I found you was
yeah.
Instagram, and I don't know how they do all that. I don't know if they were suggesting you or whatever. And I was at first I go walking quad, and I was going, hey, and I'm not kidding you. It's probably 8 or 9 months ago I first noticed you, and finally yesterday I said I'm gonna see if she can be on my show. So
That's cool. Well, thanks. Yeah, I know the algorithm is pretty cool. So I have a lot of people I follow who also have spinal cord injuries or disabilities that I just really admire and adore. And it's helped me. It motivates me and inspires me every day. And I feel like by sharing my experience and my life and just how I live my life, that can help others. Or I know it has because they've shared that with me. And and if I can do that, that makes me feel really happy and fulfilled. And like that's like the type of coaching I like to bring to
hmm
like people and just help them with their resilience and empowerment and kind of building my whole, I guess, brand, if you will, my WalkinQuad
yep.
brand around that and helping people also find that about their situations. So
Well,
yeah, that's kind of it.
you've given me some inspiration for today. No doubt about that. Your positivity, the smile and everything, the laughter. I'd much prefer hanging out with you than someone that was like me the first 5 years. Yeah, how are y'all
Well,
doing?
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
I can't believe. Yeah, I like that too. Everything. Yeah, that's the way I was the first 5 years because going out trying to find that and come back, reject. Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
no, you had fired me up today. So I'm glad we met and done this today. So all right, whoa. I hope she's still on. So we got one more thing for her to give a positive message. We'll see if we give her a minute to see if she'll pop back on. But if not, we'll finish it out, right? So Sara Lynn, go look her up on Instagram. Again, that's where I found her. And again, walking is WALKIN, no G, walking quad. And then Google that. or Google Sara Lynn. So I'm giving her a chance to see if she'll come back on so we can finish up here. But this has been a motivational, inspirational time, educational for others with spinal cord injuries. Now, we didn't go through everything to be out there, but we did go through a lot today. So, all right. Well, I don't know if she's coming back or not, but well, she's totally kicked off. All right. So that's all right. I'll get hold of her and thank her for being here. Everybody else, hey, share with someone else, and they don't necessarily have to have a spinal cord injury, don't have to have a disability, but for someone, again, to meet Sara Lynn, you could tell she's special with her positivity and bring a smile to you. And she'll give you some insight. Go try her coaching, reach out to her. All right, everybody else, I'm Dr. James Purdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.